Evening all, welcome to Dust, and today we're going to show you exactly the kind of build that seems to be filling this game at the moment, which is, I think, a lot of glitchy, over-knowledgeable players basically abusing mechanics. But we're not going to be negative today, because we're actually going to talk about other stuff while this tragedy happens and unfolds behind us. We're going to talk today about certainly where maybe CCP are going with this game in Legion. Now, I want to propose a theorem to you that, and we know this to be true, basically Legion has been inspired by games like DayZ and Borderlands. Okay, now I know this because I read it in the PC Gamer article that JC did with PC Gamer, and I remember reading this and thinking, that's interesting, because I'm obviously very much a connoisseur of both those games. So I thought, well, if they could pull off a Borderlands and a Legion, Borderlands and DayZ mix, a hybrid, that's going to be fun. And I think when you think about the mechanics of that, that's going to be quite cool. DayZ, which is an open world, very hard mode kind of style of game, you know, permanent death, all that nonsense. And you combine it with maybe the open world mission level aspect of Borderlands, that's a nice mix. And I think I've always been quite surprised that they've never done a space version of DayZ yet, or a sci-fi version of DayZ. I'm not aware of one. Post in the comments if I've missed it. Because Borderlands 2 was nothing like DayZ. It was like Borderlands 1, funnily enough. And I think certainly games like Dust are nowhere near DayZ levels of severity. But you have elements of it in here, like permanent death and all that. But it's not really that interesting in Dust compared to DayZ. Because think about it, you would deploy to a planet, you'd run to another part of the map, and you would then start looting or doing whatever you do, you know, shooting drones or whatever. And then you would have to get back to your safe point with your loot without somebody ambushing you. Now that's the beauty of the game, this ability to kind of ambush, hide, cloak, whatever it may be, and kill a player and steal their stuff is a very Eve concept. So I think that to me was what I was very excited for, because to me that's the kind of game that I would like to play. I love DayZ, I love it so much. The fact that I don't play it anymore is because I've got no one to play it with. I know that's really sad, isn't it? I should cue some really sad music right now, but I don't. And I don't, you know, I played that game probably for about 6 months on my own, living in the woods. I became a hermit in a game. It was a very surreal summer for me, it really was. But I played it and I loved it and I just thought it was brilliant. And I think I'm talking the mod here, I'm not talking the standalone. Wasn't that mad about the standalone, if I'm honest. I think the standalone, just kind of, no, it didn't work for me. But yeah, post in the comments, tell me if I'm wrong on that, because I know it's been worked on a huge amount. And let's go Borderlands. Borderlands 2, we obviously play that. We've got a playlist. Trouble and I play that. It's Trouble's favourite game, if you didn't know that. She loves that game. She's just absolutely nuts about it. And I can see why, because it is a very well-written, funny, kind of silly kind of game. And I think people like that kind of amusing, fun style game. And I think this is definitely what people look for. So I think if Legion is going to be that kind of severe mix of real world kind of DayZ-esque concepts, and then you add to that maybe a real world kind of you know, Borderlands 2 style of missions and such, that's a compelling game. And I'm not alone in thinking that, because PC Gamer have obviously raved about it already, not only just having really heard and seen a few screenshots. That's got their interest. So definitely think it's worth holding out for. But my biggest fear is, are they doing it? That's the big question. At the moment, it doesn't feel like they are. There you go, I'll let that sink in a minute. I don't honestly know if there's even a team left doing this. You just don't hear anything, you don't see anything. Post in the comments, am I missing something? I mean, is it because they're doing it in the forum? I do look, and it just looks like this all dried up and there's not much information there now. So tell me if I've got something wrong on that front. Either way, I think there is a huge kind of, crowd of people who want to play that game. When you think about not just Dust players, when you think about the market and the industry, there's a lot of players who would quite honestly love to play a starter game like that. So that's pretty cool when you think about it. I really do hope they pull it off. I think it'll be just something quite cool if they can. But there we go, look, so that's my issue. Look, I don't know if I can show you it there. Maybe if in a minute I'll move a bit closer and you'll see what I mean. But there is a very slightly annoying undertone of tactics being used, unfortunately, in this scenario, where they've just managed to get up onto the high point of that tower, and they've glitched spawn pads into the corners, and they're just basically, you're just going to win. You're going to win if you do that, dudes. Just do that every map and you'll win, and let's kill this game dead quicker than we can, because you'll see in a moment. Let me just get close to it. So if I look up in a minute, you'll see what I mean. There is this kind of very frustrating group of players who just seem to glitch. So you look at there, you see there's a guy sniper on the corner. What they've got up there, and I don't show it because it's later in the video when I try and get them off with a dropship, doesn't go well, is they're just basically glitched about 50 50 spawn pads on all levels of that tower, and the corner ones where I'm shooting there, if you drop a spawn pad right on the corner, literally where I've just shot there, it can't be killed at all. Even with a flux grenade, it's patchy. And to be honest, if you get it there with a commando suit, with a sniper rifle and a swarm launcher, you'll keep dropships away from you. Do it, seriously, let's kill this game. Let's literally destroy this game as quick as we can. Because tactics like that will just end up doing it. But there we go. I'm not bitter, honest. At the end, I even left this game towards the end because it just became a massive... It just became very apparent that no matter what you did, they just had that kind of high point, and it was impossible to do anything with. You couldn't snipe the pads because they're actually glitched into the building. Everything about it was a bit cheaty and exploity, but hey, they must want to win so much that they're willing to cheat and do that. I wonder if they get actually any fun from playing this game. I can only imagine they don't, because I don't know what fun they get from the game, and that's pretty much all they do. But anyway, I'm not bitter. I just don't see the point of it myself. People say that. It's funny. People give me a bit of grief when I leave matches and such, and it's like, well, I leave because of tactics like this. That's cheating. To me, that's just cheating. I'm not cheating. I'm not glitching spawn pads on high points and then putting, bullshit tactics to stop them ever being got. I'm not doing that. That's you that's doing that, not me, bro. So, what can you do? Anyway, let's continue our talk about maybe where CCP is going, because I think at the moment it's kind of an interesting scenario when it comes to what is the market for their game. Now, reality is that most Dust players probably won't come across the Legion. I think some may, but a lot won't, because you won't have any of the features that I think a lot of console gamers are used to, which is things like aim assist and that kind of very quick entry to the game, etc., etc. You just won't have that. It'll be a very different game entirely. So yeah, it's going to be kind of an interesting one, because I think a lot of players are very used to playing console games, etc., etc. But I think eventually people are going to probably find that there won't be that same level of ease. I mean, console games are easy when you compare them to PC shooters. They are. Sorry, they are. I hate to break that to you, but that's the truth. They really, really are. And I think that could be an interesting one, because I think a lot of Dust players don't also understand the severity and the community behind EVE, who will be players of that game. Because EVE's community is based upon destroying the moron in the gamer that they come across. So the puppy, the idiot, the kind of knobhead, just crying baby kind of player. And Dust is filled with them. There's so many entitled douchebags. I mean, we had this with, oh God, I can't even remember their corp's name. That shows you how good they were. Let me try and remember what their corp name was. I've forgotten completely. Anyway, this group of corp I took the piss out of, because they took things so seriously. And their CEO sent me the most rage-filled letter about how important they were, how like everything in the game was given to by the permission of their allowance. It was just the most sycophantic shit I've ever read. And all I said was, wow, they're trying hard, aren't they? Boy, a bunch of tryhards. And it's like, I remember just thinking, wow, they're going to get eaten up. It's like when they go to big boy school on the PC, they're going to get eaten alive, because they're just so sort of like easy to upset and make angry. And I just remember being quite amused by it all, because it was just the worst kind of, I don't know, pubby rage I've ever seen. And that's also what will weight a lot of Dust players who come across the Legion, is the reality that, player groups like Goon Swarm, etc. will just have you guys for breakfast, because they live to make your life misery. And to be honest, that sounds sinister and mean. It's not. It's because you're an idiot for getting angry about this kind of game, to the point where you rage and spurge at a player for killing you. That's the reality of this kind of community. So I really look forward to it, because it's going to be hilarious when these people basically start encountering that level of bastardness. Do you know what I mean? So it's all good stuff. I think it's going to be pretty tricky as I get blown up at the end. There we go. It was a terrible round after that, I've got to admit. I just I phased out. There we go, hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.